What's going on, Mountaineer Nation? Welcome into episode 238 of the CRW podcast. Here are Houston preview and predictions as West Virginia will start the month of November on the road taking on the Houston Cougars this weekend. And we're going to break that game down, talk about the matchups on each side, give our key to victory, our score predictions, and even talk a little Big 12 at the end of the show, as is always the case. Decided to bring this one to you guys live here on our YouTube channel, coming out a little bit later in the week. And so we figured, why not do our usual show and then try and get your all's predictions as well. So if you're in here live with us, drop your predictions for the game in the chat. We'll hit on some of those at the end of the show here. I do appreciate you guys watching on the playback or listen on the audio side. Of course, you can still catch us there on any podcast platform. We appreciate you tuning in that way as well. So a little bit different format this week, but still the same show we're going to get to here for our preview and predictions. And joining me to do all of that, of course, my great co-host. We got Steven in the house. What's going on, bro?
What's going on, everybody?
Hey, man. So we're hitting the road this week. You know, West Virginia, valiant effort, came up a little bit short against TCU. Now got to go play a top 25 opponent on the road. Interesting matchup here. Second all-time meeting between West Virginia and Houston. Opening early thoughts here about this matchup before we get set to break it down, Stephen?
This matchup specifically, all the feelings, nervousness, because, you know, there's obviously the revenge factor that you had from, you know, what happened the last time that we played them. I think it's no secret or lost on anyone what happened the last time we played them down there. But talking about West Virginia's team, I'm kind of excited to see what we see out of this team this week, after what you've seen out of them last week. Because if you would have told me that, you know, going into the game last week that they would have had, you know, that Scotty Fox would have ended up having the most yards for a true freshman in school history, passing, I would have laughed you out of the room probably.
Yeah.
Especially passing the ball, you know what I mean?
Or if that he was going to outperform Josh Hoover. I mean,
or outperform Josh Hoover, or that, you know, the defense was going to be able to essentially shut their running game down for most of the game. I know that we still lost the game. The game doesn't count in almost, but I think as far as effort, I mean, that was a pretty damn good one. And so I'm excited to see what kind of effort they have going into this week. And then also with that, you know, what do we see? We've seen the changes along the offensive front last week. I'm excited to see if it continues to, you know, to change or if, you know, we see a lot of those same pieces because who do we see? Malik Agbo was put in there. He went down. Is he going to be ready to go? Donovan Haslam. Yeah, I know there was a couple of guys. So it'll be interesting to see, you know, if those guys are ready to go or if we have, you know, other guys that can step up. But to me, that was the most exciting thing. You know, I don't think that any of us are expecting us to win out the season or anything like that. But that's what a lot of us were looking for was seeing those things put in place to where we were competitive in these games, and especially against a good team like TCU.
Yeah, it's something to build on. I think it's a great point, man, because that's what I saw as well was, I called it a hard edge effort because that's what it looked like to me. And I think at this point in the season with the injuries that you've had pile up, which we'll share the latest injury report that just dropped this evening from the Big 12 momentarily. But I think with the injuries and, you know, you're back against the wall, to see a team still come out and play and fight and put forth the effort that we did, I think says a lot about the staff and a lot of the guys that we have on the team, you know, with the guys that we have remaining playing, because it's very easy when you're, you know, 2-5 to, you know, go out and perform and, you know, kind of just throw in the towel, right? But instead, these guys really went out and battled, and you could see they were playing hard. And I think if we get that over the final 4 games of the season, we're in good shape. If we can see guys playing hard and putting forth that effort again, we'll be all right. So with that being said, let's talk a little bit about those injuries because we do have those changes on the offensive line that we, you know, saw last game. We'll see what happens with this one because we do have some more injuries on the offensive line, unfortunately, as 2-6 West Virginia, currently 0-5 in the Big 12, heads out to Houston there to take on 7-1, 4-1 Houston, number 22 in the country. It'll be at noon, November 1st on Fox Sports 1. So as far as the injury report, like I said, still subject to change. We've still got one more injury report we'll get on Friday night. But for now, for WVU, new additions Of course, we still have, kind of the same ones that we've seen. We learned that Jordan Walker is out for the rest of the season with a broken arm. And then, of course, we have Kimo Makanaole out for this game as well. That was one that popped up. The first injury report, I think he was questionable. Now he's listed as out. Malik Agbo is upgraded to probable, so maybe he will get to go there at that right tackle spot. So looks like, last game we had Donovan Haslam start at left guard, Malik Agbo started right tackle, 2 new starters. Looks like we'll have a different starter at right guard. Now, will that be Carson Lee or Josh Isosa? I think my money's on Carson Lee, but for the second straight game, we're going to see a little bit different look on the offensive line. This time more injury-based, it seems like, unfortunately, as West Virginia loses Kimo Makanaole, who I do got to give a little bit of credit to because he's someone that we harped on, a lot of people harped on, but West Virginia made some offensive line changes at 2 other positions besides his, and I thought with that
looked good.
Set of offensive line, he played better. So,
yeah.
I hate to see him go down after, he did have a game where he performed a little bit better. But we'll see how Carson Lee or whoever steps up there at right guard plays. But any thoughts on the injury front, Stephen? I know this season's been riddled with them, man. It's tough, and we got a couple more to add here for this game, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, what more can you say? I mean, it's just an absolute – I mean, look at that list. I mean, every single game it looks like that too. I mean, you got a couple of guys on the other side, and you got a whole – I mean, you could probably make a whole second sheet, with another list on it by the time this thing's over with, unfortunately. So
it's been that kind of year.
Just unfortunate circumstances. I like that. Also, I like that Rich Rod came out the other day and gave a shout out to Mike Joseph and and Parker Whiteman and the strength staff. Said it wasn't them. It's just unfortunately a really, really bad string of bad luck. Yeah.
That's all it is, man. And hopefully, those things tend to balance out. So maybe that means next year we're gonna have really good luck with injuries. That's all I can hope for at this point. Because
let's hope
can't get much worse.
I mean, golly, I've said that for a long time, man. I don't know what it is that we're cursed with, but I swear it's like anytime that we have a great player, it's always seemingly he has to go down with. I mean, like all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all the time.
Life as a Mountaineer fan, unfortunately, right?
I mean, football, baby. Unfortunately,
it's football. It's contact sport out there.
That's right.
So there's a little bit of opening thoughts here on this game. Like I said, second all-time meeting. We know how the first one ended up. We don't have to rehash that back in 2023. I'd like to talk about it as little as possible. So head coach still Willie Fritz now in his second season. Last year had a lot to get turned around, but it's been impressive the way that he's turned it around so fast here in year 2. Has them as a competitor in this conference, has them ranked in the top 25. So definitely think he's a good coach there as we look at the grand scheme there. But let's dive in here on each side. Let's start with the Houston offense against the West Virginia defense, Stephen. Houston offensive coordinator Slade Nagel. One thing Houston did, and I think was a great move by Willie Fritz, was went out, made changes at the coordinator spots, got with guys that he's comfortable with, and I think it's paid off thus far this year. Slade Nagel was with Willie Fritz when he was at Tulane. He was his offensive coordinator then, so they have a history together. So far this year, they're averaging 380 yards per game, 210 through the air, 172 on the ground, and they're averaging right below 30 points per game as well. Quarterback, Connor Wegman, transferred over from Texas A&M. He's dual threat. He can hurt you with his arm, can hurt you with his legs. 1,500 yards passing with 12 touchdowns versus only 2 interceptions. Also leads the team in rushing touchdowns. He has 8 on the season, and he's ran for 350 yards. His go-to target in the passing game is actually his tight end. That's the main one that I'm concerned about, and quite frankly, maybe the best player in this offense. He's special.
I'll try to catch you off on that one. I was going to say that was the one I was most scared of.
Yeah, man, he leads them in receptions, 43 on the year, 450 yards, and he's their highest graded player on PFF, 77 offensive grade and 83 passing grade for him. Really good numbers, so watch out for tight end Tanner Koziel. And then the other player I want to highlight in their offense is Dean Connors, the running back. He's a transfer from Rice, which, funny enough, I got to know a little bit, not on this college football game, but back on College Football 25. We were running one of those one-star rebuilds, and one of the guys had Rice, and Dean Connors was tough to stop, man. So I know all about him in video game form. We're going to learn about him a little bit more up close and personal in real life on Saturday, but he's a guy that, can catch the ball out of the backfield and, of course, will run it, as he has nearly 600 rushing yards on the season, and they will target him in the passing game as well. So for me, those are kind of the 3 main pieces of their offense. There's some others they'll factor in there, Stephen, but Wegman is the quarterback, Koziel at tight end, Connors at running back. Those are the main ones you're going to want to stop to try and slow down this Houston offensive attack. Sounds easy enough, but no one's really been able to stop it consistently enough yet. Although I feel like they're a team that leans more on their defense. They can get it done on the offensive side. West Virginia coming off, a bit of a bounce back performance. Finally got some TFLs and sacks again. Probably need to keep that up in this game. But how are you feeling about this matchup, Houston's offense versus the Mountaineer defense?
This one kind of really scares me, to be honest with you, for all the things that you just mentioned. The one that kind of scares me, maybe just as much as their tight end is Amari Thomas at wide receiver. With West Virginia's defense playing as good as they did in the secondary, especially after the quarterback rollout, which is when our secondary inevitably falls apart or has fallen apart prior to. They did a better job with that last week, so hopefully that will continue this week. But I don't know, man. That offense is scary. They can really spread you out. They can really throw it deep, and then, like you said before, their quarterback is also really good with his legs. So what happens whenever you are, very well covered downfield, and then he's just going to cut you upfield and then take off for about 20 and 25 yards. So I really want to believe that West Virginia can contain on the outside, continue to do that this week. And hopefully that'll give us a chance on the offensive side of the ball. But to be completely honest with you, and I hate saying this because they did just have a really good game, this is surely due to how good Houston's offense is, but I don't feel confident going into this week.
No, I get it. I understand, because I think when I look at it, I go back to what you said right there when we look at Connor Wegman and how he can use his legs. Because when you look at the probably two best performances this defense has had, especially against power conference competition, it's been against Pitt, and it's been against TCU, and neither one of those quarterbacks are very mobile. But the mobile quarterbacks we've struggled a bit with, so I am a little bit worried about that. I do think that this defense is coming into this game hopefully feeling a little bit better about themselves, a little bit of swagger to them maybe after they finally got back in the backfield, and they're feeling like, hey, we can do this. We can get some pressure on quarterbacks. We can get some TFLs. So maybe that'll help us out. But I would still probably give a slight advantage to Houston on this side of things as well, just because the mobile quarterback side of things worries me a little bit in that aspect because of how our defense has struggled dealing with those quarterbacks that can hurt you with their legs. And it's not even all the time, necessarily breaking off runs. Like you said, it's getting outside the pocket and then having too much time, and eventually somebody's going to break open. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's what's hurt us.
Giving your receivers extra time. I mean, it looks simpler whenever you're watching it, from above or on TV or whatever. But I mean, like when a receiver, especially when they have a cut route and they have a post, so they run 15, 20 yards, they cut it into the post. Play's not there. They're out there just waving their hands. They're not just going to stand there and wait. They're pretty much in a randomness at that point. So I mean, it's really hard to guard as a defender. You got to really be on your game, and then especially when the rules are in place to where like you barely even put a finger on the receiver and they're calling offensive or defensive pass interference.
Yeah,
I can talk. It's just everything's left on the responsibility of the defender in all facets of the game anymore. And so that's what makes it really difficult as a defender. Just to kind of, I don't know, put it in context.
I'm right there. Yep, I agree with you, man. It is. The longer you got to defend, the harder it is, and that's when you lose those guys in the secondary. You get, especially the quarterback starts scrambling out. You got eyes on him. Somebody can slip behind you. We've seen it happen, a few times this season. So hopefully, I think if we're able to get the initial pressure and actually get to the quarterback and not let him, sidestep out of there, break, contain. That's what's hurt us in those games against mobile quarterbacks. So that's what I'm hoping changes in this one, is if we get in there and we get those free rushers, like sometimes Zach Alley will scheme up, that we come in under control and don't let the quarterback break out of there and, actually get these sacks and TFLs again, like we did earlier in the season and like we saw us do a little bit of last week against TCU as well. But any other thoughts here on this side of the ball, Stephen?
No, I just hope, I've said for pretty much the whole season that our defense is if we are going to stay in games, that's what's going to keep us in games. So hopefully they can do that this week and prove me wrong.
Agreed. With that being said, let's talk about the other side. Let's talk about the Houston defense going up against the West Virginia offense in this game. Like we said, Houston went out and got some new coordinators. The defensive coordinator they brought in, Austin Armstrong, previously was the defensive coordinator at Florida, there for his first season. And the Houston defense has been very impressive, in my opinion, thus far this year. They're only allowing 19 points per game. They have a top 40 run defense in the entire country, giving up right at 120 yards per game on the ground only. And they have 4 players on PFF that have run defense grades above 80, which is super, super good. It's way above average, and they have 4 players that have that. I like to highlight a player at each level. On the defense, I mean, yeah, that's what I was about to say is like, I like to highlight a player at each level, but it was hard to pick out just one on this one because there's several really good players in this Houston defense. Defensive line, I think Eddie Walls is one you got to watch out for, leading the team in sacks with 5.5. You go up to the next level, linebackers, Jalen Garner really stands out to me, leading the team in tackles with 53, along with 2 forced fumbles and 2 sacks on the season. And then defensive backs, they have several that, grade out highly and perform well. But I went with Rook Brown as one to watch because he's their highest graded defender. He has an 84 defensive grade and a 91 tackling grade, which is super impressive there. So West Virginia definitely has their work cut out for them on this side of the ball, in my opinion. Positive yet again that you're coming off a game in which your offense found their rhythm late. I mean, you ended the game with 2 straight scoring drives, didn't get a chance to get the ball back and maybe try and go win the game. But last 2 times this offense was on the field, they led scoring drives, so that's a plus. Scotty Fox definitely felt like the game slowed down for him in that game against TCU, and maybe we're going to start to see him really come into his own here in the latter portion of the season when he doesn't have to look over his shoulder and kind of feels like it's his team. I like that aspect of things, but Houston having a really strong run defense worries me because, we saw last week when TCU was able to shut down our run game, we went one-dimensional and it worked out, but Houston's defense is better than TCU. If they make us one-dimensional, I'm not sure it's going to work out for us the way that it did against TCU. So that's just kind of my worry here, and I'm sure you can hear kind of by my thought process there that I feel like this is a little bit of an advantage for Houston on this side of things, in my opinion. But, Stephen, what about you? How are you feeling about the West Virginia defense versus West Virginia offense versus that Cougar defense?
A lot of the same. I think that, we played pretty well on offense last week and was able to throw the ball a little bit better than we have been able to against TCU. But like you said, this is a lot better defense. And you just mentioned a few of those players. I think LaTravion McCutcheon has been also a really good player for them too. And all of these players have either multiple tackles for loss, multiple sacks, or multiple interceptions on the season. So, I mean, they have a lights out defense, and I think that they're not only good at stopping the run, they're really, really good at stopping the pass also. Their secondary, I think, is one of the top in the Big 12 from the teams that I've watched. I think they have one of the better defenses overall out of the teams that I've watched in the Big 12. So it's going to be a really difficult game. Obviously, playing on the road is always going to be difficult. So, I mean, West Virginia is really going to have to play, in my opinion, a complete ball game without any mistakes on the offensive side of the ball. And I don't know how likely that is to happen, with as many questions marks as we have surrounding, continue to surround the entirety of the offense, but more specifically on that offensive line. Because I think last week, I think the biggest positive was one thing that I've been preaching about. Not to say I told you so, but, these you switch around the offensive line, you all of a sudden you have a lot more dynamic of an offense. You're able to do a lot more than you were able to do before. But how does that change going into this week if those pieces are now immediately taken away? I mean, just look at what it did whenever you had Ty Edwards fill that void for Jaheim, going into the Pitt game, and then after that week you really have, kind of carousel, and you've had question marks, and it just hasn't worked out. So everything.
It's a tough matchup.
Everything revolves around that, man.
It does. We got to get some push up front. I mean, like you said, last week they made some changes. The offense put some drives together, but I think pass protection was improved certainly. But we saw on those couple 4th and 1s that we couldn't execute, that still couldn't get the push that we needed to get. So I think until we get that, especially like short yardage situations, are going to be a struggle, and it's probably going to be a struggle to run the ball. So maybe we get something on that this week. I mean, like I said, we're going to have a 3rd new offensive lineman at least. So I don't know. Maybe that's the magic sauce.
Hopefully Cam can make some of them big boy grabs again. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was unguardable in the second half, and I think to go along with that, I hope Jeff Weimer as well, because I think that's what helped to free Cam up as they
Yep.
finally getting Jeff Weimer on the other side able to get open. They couldn't straight double team Cam, and both those guys were eating a little bit there in the second half, which was nice. But you mentioned Ty Edwards made me have to throw this in when we're talking about this side of things, because short yardage was a problem last week. Ty Edwards was going to be our power back, our short yardage back for the season. He's gone. We've kind of lacked one since then. Sounds like we could see Curtis Jones line up in the backfield at times if we get into those situations this week, which I'm anxious to check that out, man. I mean, he ran for like
How could you not
1,700
be?
yards at Cabell Midland, so I mean he's got experience at the position, and he's a freak athlete. So
Yeah, I mean, and just look at his size, man. I mean, would you want to go up there and tackle that guy?
nah, not
Or
me,
would you be? Would
not
you be
me.
able to?
No, absolutely, he would
I
murder.
was
He
gonna
would
say,
just straight truck stick me. I mean,
yeah, there's not a lot of people that can go 1-on-1 and be able to tackle him. I know that, so that's one advantage you got.
yeah, for sure. That big and moves that fast. I'd like to see it, man. It could be, one of those things that you just do as an experiment, and it ends up being pretty good for you. Who knows? We'll see what happens with that. But any final thoughts on the Mountaineer offense versus the Houston defense?
No, I just hope they can continue to show what they showed last week, man. A lot of people, a lot of kids in that situation this far into the season would have given up, especially as hard as a lot of people's been on them. So I just got to give them some credit where it's due.
Agreed. Agreed. Well said there. And hopefully that carries over. That being said, Stephen, I guess it's about that time, man. It's about that time of the show where we talk key to victory, and then we'll talk our score predictions. So let's go key to victory. And I'll go first on this one because I think it kind of tails off right what we were just now talking about. Because for me, I think the key to victory is finding a way to run the football and not being one dimensional. I talked about it a little bit there when we went over the matchup against TCU, whose pass defense is very suspect. You were kind of able to be one dimensional and get back in the game, stay in the game, have a chance there late in that one. I think against Houston, it's going to be a lot harder if you're one dimensional. So somehow, some way, maybe having Max Brown fully healthy, having Khalil Wilkins possibly healthy, maybe that allows us to run the quarterback a little bit more, and Scotty Fox can help our run game because that's kind of been the best way that we ran the football this year was with the quarterback. Didn't really have that option last week because all the injuries behind Scotty, so maybe that helps us, but I think we've got to not be one-dimensional this week. So finding a way to run the football is my key to victory in this one. Stephen, what about you? What's it going to take for West Virginia to pull off this upset of a ranked Houston team on the road? What's your key for this one?
I tell you, man, we're either picking the same exact thing or we're picking, ironically, the opposite. I'm going on the other side of the ball, and I'm actually saying that it's West Virginia's ability to limit Connor Weigman's ability to run the football. I
like
think
it.
if you can limit his ability to spread you out and get out of the pocket for most of the day, I think that puts you in a pretty good position because I think that de facto takes their offense out of the football game if he's not able to do anything.
Mhm.
That's going to give you some momentum. Hopefully, that gives you enough momentum that your offense can go out there and get something going and provide you a couple of drives. And hopefully, that's later in the second half. So that's my key to victory is just limiting his ability to be dynamic more so, I guess.
Yeah, and that's fitting. That's fitting because that goes hand in hand with what we talked about when we talked about the matchup on that side. Running quarterbacks have hurt us. Dual threat quarterbacks have hurt us
Yep.
this season. If we can limit him, I like our chances a little bit better as well. So great key to victory there, which leads us into that time of score predictions for this week. West Virginia hitting the road to start the month of November on the first day of November there. West Virginia will play Houston at noon on Fox Sports 1 on Saturday, looking for their first conference win, and it would be a nice upset to get it over a top 25 ranked Houston team, Stephen. But
Yep.
how do you feel this one shakes out? What's your score prediction for Saturday?
Uh, gotta say, man, I love, like I said, got to continue to give them credit where it's due. Love the way they played last week, but like I said, this Houston team is pretty darn good, and West Virginia just hasn't shown me enough for them playing well enough on the road. Besides, I
Mm-hmm.
guess maybe the BYU game, and even then, uh, there was some questionable effort in the second half on some fronts. So, with what I've seen out of them playing on the road this season, and plus what I've seen out of Houston in its entirety this season, I got to go with gotta give it to Houston. I'm probably going to go with 31-17. I think is most likely what it'll be.
Yeah. That's not too far off of what I have as well. And I think, at the time that we're recording this, I think the spread's right around 13.5, 14 points. So, right along the lines of what Vegas is thinking spread wise. I do got to agree with you. That's maybe what I worry about most in this game is the way that we've just struggled on the road this season, especially just to score points. It's been a struggle. I don't think we've scored in the first quarter of a game, period, since the Ohio game, home or on the road. So that's something that we need to finally maybe get off to a fast start would help us. But with how good Houston's defense is, I worry about us being able to score in this game combined with what you said there, with our struggles on the road to score the ball already. So I think, if we can get a couple of touchdowns, that's about what I'm expecting, kind of along the lines you are. I think our defense might perform well. I think they got some swagger coming into this game, but unfortunately, I got Houston doing just enough to pull it off. 24-14, Houston victory is what I'm going with this one. So sadly, it's a week where we're both not feeling the most confident, but the positive side is we're not picking blowouts. And, I guess you didn't necessarily last week. I picked a blowout last week.
No, I think I've
now
been
I got a
I've
little bit
been
more
pretty
confidence.
I've been more in line this season. I've been
Yeah, you've
proud of
been
myself
closer.
with my predictions, both with
Yeah.
ours and with the league. I've been doing pretty well.
I agree. You have been doing well, which we'll get to some of those Big 12 picks momentarily. That's what we're going to wrap up with here. Our final segment on these preview episodes and our review episodes is always our Around the Big 12 segment, and we'll get to that momentarily. But I appreciate you guys that did tune in here live as we are streaming this live on our YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch channels. Be sure, if you are in here live, share your prediction for the game. You just heard ours. If you're in here live, drop it in the chat there. We'll pull up some of those here before we wrap up the episode for those that are in here live with us. But we do appreciate you guys that are watching after the fact as well. Of course, you can still catch this on a playback on our YouTube channel. You can catch it over on the WV Sports Now channel, and shout out to them for always hosting our episodes on their website as well. And of course, you can always just listen to the audio version on any podcast platform you like, Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Spotify, you name it, you can find us there. Leave us a rating if you listen on that side of things. And if you are tuned in here on YouTube, take a second, hit that thumbs up button, help us out with the algorithm, and be sure you subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on all things WVU sports from us here at the Country Roads Webcast, where we're bringing you content from Mountaineer fans for Mountaineer fans. With that being said, Stephen, let's take a look around the Big 12 here in Week 10. Let's make some picks for some of these games. If I can pull up the schedule here. Of course, we talked about the Mountaineers and Cougars at noon, and you heard our prediction for that one. Got another noon game here in the conference as well, and that is UCF and Baylor playing in Waco on ESPNU. The Knights and the Bears, Stephen, who you taking?
I got to go with the Baylor Bears on that one.
I don't blame you. I'm gonna agree with you, man. I think that they'll handle that one. They're at home. UCF was better this year than I expected them to be.
Yeah.
Baylor's been a kind of a mixed bag, but I do think that they're not a bad team, and I think they'll edge it out there over UCF. So I'll agree with you on that one. And we got another pretty good game here. It was a candidate for Game of the Week, but ended up falling just short to the nightcap of the week is going to be our Game of the Week. But
if you would have taken the last
matchup.
2 weeks of the season out, this would have been the Game of the Week.
Yeah. Well, I was about to say, or if last year in the conference, this would definitely be Game of the Week around this time. Iowa State's, lost a little bit more than we thought they would. Arizona State, they're still in the mix. We'll see what happens, but Ames is a tough place to play, and they got to go there for that 1 o'clock Eastern kick. They get the TNT HBO Max broadcast this week. Stephen, I'll let you go first on this one again because I'm still going over it and debating in my head on this one. It's a tough one to call, but Arizona State and Iowa State. Who do you think wins it?
I'm going to pick this one on the fly, man. I'm not really sure who to go with because you got two teams that, are really desperate to get it back on track. I mean, you got Arizona State who just come off a really tough loss. Iowa State obviously coming off a couple of them. Gosh, man, I don't know. If this was a 7 o'clock kickoff, I'm giving it to Iowa State, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
But with it being at noon, gosh, man, give me the Cyclones. I hate to do it. I really want to pick Arizona State, but
Ames is tough. It's a tough environment, man. It's tough to win there. And the thing that gives me pause on Arizona State is the health of some of their best players. I mean, Sam Levitt's been dealing with injury on and off all season. Jordan Tyson's their best receiver has been injured as well. And just, without knowing that status fully yet, I think I got to go with Iowa State too. I think Iowa State's my pick in this one. And like you said, they need a win. They're a little bit desperate right now. Not to say Arizona State isn't as well, but they're desperate playing at home and feel like they're having a little bit better luck injury-wise. So I'll roll with the Cyclones there too.
Yep.
Which brings us to 3:30 Eastern kick on Fox. Playing in Manhattan, Texas Tech has to go on the road to Kansas State in the Little Apple there. Kansas State's been playing some good ball past few weeks, and I think that they're starting to come into their own a little bit, maybe looking a little bit more like the team we thought we'd see early in the season. And Texas Tech, we know they're a force. They're very much in this conference race still yet, and they're going to have a say in it before it's all said and done probably. Love their defense, love the way they play. Give me Texas Tech going on the road and getting a win here. I think their defense will be able to shut down Avery Johnson and company enough. So I'm going to roll with the Red Raiders in this one. What about you, Steven?
Texas Tech, though, fighting the injury bug here lately as well. Tight end goes down. I think they had a receiver go down as well, maybe an offensive lineman. Still picking the Red Raiders. They roll.
Yeah, they're just good, man.
But I say that to say,
that
I wouldn't be surprised to see Texas Tech fall up short here in a couple of weeks. Not to us, but to one of these other teams.
It could happen.
Maybe to us if we can get our act together. Maybe, I don't know.
I mean, they're definitely not going to be expecting a game from us. So that's you never know. Stranger things have happened. We've caught teams off guard before. We'll see.
You talk about creating a rivalry.
That's a way to do it. Then we got Oklahoma State and Kansas in Lawrence at 4:00 Eastern on ESPN Plus. I mean, it's a Jayhawks,
even
right?
worth going over it. yeah.
I mean,
Jayhawk roll 56-0.
Like I think we said this every week, but the one team in the conference that I really wish was on our schedule this year was Oklahoma State, because I don't know. I mean, it's not guaranteed that we win the game, but that's a game I'd like to see.
I mean, us and them are competing for the bottom of the list right now. So one of us has got to win a game at some point. Win one game, you don't get last place. That's
it. It's the battle to stay out of the basement right now. We're trying to get our first conference win, so are they. Hopefully, we beat them to it. But don't think it's going to happen this week. We're both rolling with Kansas, which brings us to Arizona at Colorado, 7:00 Eastern on Fox Sports 1. Colorado's back at home, and boy, do they need a bounce back, man. Last week, I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. Negative 18, I think it was at halftime. They had that negative total yardage at halftime of that game last week. It was crazy. So, I mean, they can't play any worse. They got the home crowd behind them. Do you think they can pull off an upset here and beat Arizona?
No, I don't. I think Arizona's going to go out there and get them. Colorado, I think, unfortunately, fighting a lot, not really similar to the way that we're, our season's going, but in terms of injuries, they've just had a tough go of it. And I think on top of that, I think that a lot of the people that they hit, they got in the transfer portal just didn't work out the way they thought they were going to work out. So Colorado's just not as good of a team as everybody thought they were. Give me Arizona.
I'm agree with you.
With that being said, that gives us some optimism for next week, man. I'm telling you.
Hey, true.
I'm telling y'all what, I'm getting excited.
I'm probably going to try and watch that game tomorrow evening just to scout Colorado a little bit more, because I haven't really watched them play a full game yet this season. So I'm probably going to try and tune into that. But, I know it's boring that we're in agreement all the way across, but I got to agree here yet again and go Arizona to get the win over Colorado also. I think Colorado is definitely going to, come out fighting and play hard in this game after the performance they put on last game. But as you mentioned, injuries and then like the extenuating circumstances of, Coach Prime's health, I think that's probably looming a little bit large over their season as well. Like you said, didn't exactly have the season that they thought that they would have. So I think Arizona is going to go in there and get the win as well, which leads us to the game of the week, Stephen. And this is a good one. Two teams.
This one might differ on.
Yeah, this might be where we differ a little bit, because both of these teams are undefeated in the conference. This could go either way. This is, in a lot of ways, a de facto game to remain at first place in the conference between Cincinnati and Utah. And how about Cincinnati? Last year Arizona State was definitely a surprise. I think Cincinnati would have to fall into that category this season. And, they got to go over to Salt Lake, though. And, that's long distance for them to travel, all the way across the country, essentially. And late kick. 10:15 Eastern's what time that one will kick off there on ESPN. And Utah, they've been just pretty consistent thus far this season. I think that I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know which way to go on this one. I did speak though. I just thought of that because Utah did lose to BYU, didn't they?
Yeah. Yeah, they did.
So Utah's not undefeated in the conference.
And guess who picked that
My
game?
bad.
Guess who picked
My
that game
bad.
correctly, Cruz? Do you
My
want to know?
apologies.
Do you want to know who called that game?
Who called it?
Your boy here. Me.
That you did, man. I do got to give you credit on that one.
I did. Y'all
But
said
I think
that Utah would win. And you're probably going to say right now that Utah's going to win. Go ahead and say it. Go ahead and say Utah's going to win.
Man, I don't want to because I know you hate it when I do that. Yeah, I was thinking of BYU. BYU and Cincinnati are the only undefeated teams in the conference. Utah actually has 2 conference losses.
Yep.
So I was way off. My bad, everyone. My bad. I got the 2 Utah teams confused, and Steven should probably crucify me for confusing Utah and BYU. But Steven might crucify me again because
non-ball knower Cruz. I'm so glad he did that. I'm so glad he did that, you guys.
Yeah, I got to take the Utes, man. I just like their defense. I think that they'll be able to do enough to slow Cincinnati down. And if it wasn't in Salt Lake and it wasn't, a 10-15 Eastern kick, I may feel different about this game, but I got to roll with Utah. I hate to do it because it's a pro BYU podcast, as we always say, but I got to go with the Utes in the game of the week this week.
Yeah,
go ahead and tell me why I'm wrong, Steven.
I hate to do it too. That's why I'm not doing it. You got to go with the Bearcats. You got to go with the Bearcats. One, Bob Huggins, coach out there, led them to a Final Four before he came out here and led us to a Final Four. There's a connection there. I don't know why that matters, but it does. Okay, there's one connection. Okay, 2, they aren't Utah. They're better.
You're right. They aren't Utah.
I don't have any valid reasons. I just don't like Utah, and I'm picking Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati's a better team. And I have the tight end on my fantasy team. I wasn't expecting you
to pick Utah. I knew you wasn't going to pick Utah, so I was like, if I don't go with Utah, we're going to be, even all the way across. So I pretty much had to go with Utah. That's my excuse here as to why I picked Utah. But we'll see what happens.
I think Cincinnati rolls. It's like 42-3 or something.
Hey, man, that sounds like wishful thinking to me.
That's not going to happen. That's actually not going to happen. I don't want anybody to think I'm serious on that. That's not going to happen at
all. I wouldn't be mad about it, though. I like Cincinnati being the surprise team this year. I'm not mad about it at all. But
what's weird to me is Cincinnati's in that position a lot. Cincinnati goes like they're a lot like Baylor to me. They either go undefeated or unstoppable and have the fastest, quickest team with like studs, or they're not trash. They're just a surprising team out of nowhere. You know what I mean? I guess that makes sense. Well, I guess Baylor sometimes is trash.
Occasionally.
I mean, like Cincinnati went to a playoff not too long ago.
Yeah, that was what the year was. That the year before they came to the Big 12. I think it was. I think it was the last year in the
year or two
AAC. Yeah, year or two, because that was before. Yeah, it was Luke Fickell's last year.
But I mean, even before that, what was Isaiah Peed? Wasn't that?
Yeah,
wasn't
Isaiah
that Cincinnati back?
That was back in the Big East days. Yeah,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they had some squads back in those days too.
Yeah, Tony Pike, Munchie Legault.
Tony Pike, that's a name.
That's a name, man. Tony Pike. He was like 6'7", dude. He was
6'7".
6'7". Oh man, I swear, we live in a simulation. Those numbers are everywhere.
Yeah.
I just had to say.
I remember West Virginia was playing an undefeated Cincinnati team back in the day, and they rolled us in Cincinnati. I think it was Isaiah Peed. That was that team.
That was that team. I think so. Yeah, because I think the year we went to the Orange Bowl, that's when we finally beat them again, because that was we blocked a field goal that we were up by 3, and they were kicking a field goal to tie it, and we blocked that field goal. I mean, we're down the rabbit hole right now, but you know us, we'll get off.
We'll get off. We'll get off. I mean, y'all
good memories.
Y'all like hearing about this stuff, right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you a little story though before we go. Man, I'm telling you what, that's one of my favorite games that I've ever been to that we lost. We was losing to. I mean, y'all probably remember that.
The comeback.
Cincinnati. Yeah, like I can't remember what the score was in the fourth quarter. We scored twice and then get an onside kick because Pat McAfee kicks it, and then he kicks like a 50-some yard field goal to tie it to send it to overtime. And so everybody was leaving, including myself. I ain't going to lie to you. Me and my papa Wazowski, and we was halfway out of the stadium whenever he kicked that game-winning field goal. We watched we watched that game-winning field goal on like the TV on the side of an RV, and my voice was completely gone. I mean, I was screaming as hard as I could possibly yell, and like a whisper was coming out, and I was still trying my best. And they didn't check like tickets or anything like that. Everybody ran back into the stadium and was on like just one side. It was crazy. All on like the side where the band sits. Everybody was just like in that one side of the
area.
stadium because
That's
they
so
had just
cool.
funneled in, was watching it, and then unfortunately we walked in and watched Cincinnati beat us.
But it was still a hell of a comeback.
We've had some battles with them. We have.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I do like that. The stadium doesn't allow reentry, but in those type of situations, they're like, "Come on,
yeah.
like, come on back in. We need a crowd in here."
Even at that time, they had stopped the reentry by that point, so that's why we were surprised. They're like, "Well, they're not going to let us back in." They did.
They did.
They couldn't
It
stop.
worked out.
I mean, what was inevitably like probably 5,000 people or more at the time out of the.
Oh yeah, I was about to
60,000
say they don't really have a choice because everybody's coming rushing back in. I mean, what are they going to do? Just stand there at the gate and get ran over?
Yeah,
no, just better step to the side, and let these people in because they're coming in.
You don't have, I mean, like it's all in a moment's notice. They don't have time to set anybody up to stop anybody, even if they wanted to.
Nah, which worked out good because at least we had a crowd in there for overtime in that game. But with that being said, we've talked about the matchups. We gave our prediction for the Mountaineers game. We went around the Big 12 and even diverted on a tangent as we tend to do every now and then and talk about something else. But with that being said, let's get to some predictions here from you guys. If you haven't dropped one, if you're in here live and want to drop one in the chat, there a prediction for the game in the chat there because dual purpose this week. Not only is it our preview and predictions podcast, but we're getting your all's predictions here as well as we're coming live a little bit later in the week with this one. So I think we had a couple here roll through. Let me pull these up and then we'll get some final thoughts before we wrap up episode 238 here. We got Devil Dog in the house. Devil Dog 44. Good to see you, man. He's going West Virginia 31, Houston 27 in a Scotty Fox coming out party.
Nice. I like it.
You know what he's wearing with that pick, Steven? He's wearing them golden blue glasses, my friend.
That's right.
Got them golden blue tinted glasses on. I like it, Devil Dog.
Hey, I've got some new golden blue glasses, but I can't debut those until I actually can wear them. I can't falsely wear them, you guys. They have to be real. I have to really.
It might be a basketball season deal.
That's right. That's very right. Because I'm telling you what, I'm wearing my blue. You daggone right, Cruz. You know what? I'm breaking them out for basketball season because I'm wearing those blue and gold shades for the basketball team right now. I'm a believer. They got me thinking about 20 wins right now.
Yep. So. Let's check out our basketball season preview we did last week. If you guys haven't a chance to check that out yet, both talk our win totals. We go over the roster, coach, staff, a lot of good stuff there for the basketball side. Let's see if we got any other predictions here from chat. We got Blake Green. Good to see you, Blake. He says Scotty gets revenge for GG. You got to admit that deep ball and the blonde hair at quarterback looked just like Garrett Green. He's going WVU 27-24. He's rocking the gold and blue glasses as well. Love the optimism there, and I do agree, man. Scotty does kind of look a little bit like Garrett Green. At least the blonde hair, the way it's kind of a little bit longer, and the way he plays is similar a little bit too.
I thought the same thing. I think it's more so for me the fact that we just got done watching GG tear up the football field just one season ago. So I think it's a lot of the recency that I think so. But him and Max Brown both.
Max Brown has got that number 6. So
that too. But I mean, I swear the way he runs, his stature, like there's a lot of things about Max as well that remind me of GG. I thought that in the spring game.
Yeah, which the only difference is, Scotty Fox is more prototypical QB size. Scotty Fox is like 6'2", I think, about 215 at least. So a good bit bigger than Garrett Green, but similar playing styles. Definitely similar look when they take the helmet off for sure, Blake. I agree with you on that one, man. Let's see. Leo Cole.
I wouldn't be surprised to learn that was an influence of that anyway.
Yeah, it could be. Leo Cole going with the Mountaineers 24-20. I love the optimism in the chat tonight, guys. That's what's up. You guys brought the optimism back around after me and Steven tried to keep it more.
Yeah, who says Mountaineer fans are negative, man? They need to come to our podcast. We're all positive over here.
Always,
I love you guys, man.
We always got some positive in here, and I love it. That's why that's it. Yep, exactly, Steve. That's why we love these guys, man. They're always keeping it glass half full, kind of like us. Let's see. Eric says he thinks we cover the spread. I'll take it. That means we're keeping it within a 2-score game. That's good. And we got Oregon Ducks fan here. It's our friend Saito. He's picking the Ducks to win over Iowa 24-13, and then he's got Houston taking down the Mountaineers 38-18 in this one. So yeah, not too far from yours, Stephen, actually. And then Blake Carter. Don't think I've seen you here before, Blake. Good to see you. He's going West Virginia 24, Houston 20. So he's got the same prediction as Leo. We got a couple in here with the same prediction, but I like it, man. We got a good ratio of people picking Mountaineer wins there in the chat, so that balances out the losses that me and Steven predicted here in this one. Appreciate you guys coming in here and sharing some predictions and stuff, for sure. We got Saito in with one more. He says, thing is, we can't slow the game down because of Rich Rod's high-pace offense, but his wishful thinking prediction here, slow it down a bit and control the game, WVU 27 and Houston 24. Hey, I like the optimistic side of the prediction as well, man.
I'm hoping so. But I'm like you, man. Rich Rod just hasn't shown his ability to slow that down, and then his ability.
He's done it a little bit.
He has a little bit. He has a little bit, but then he gets in those modes where he's like, all right, inside zone, read options, inside zone.
Hey man, once we get rolling though, that's the one thing though, because like last week, once the offense was finally hitting, like when we started that second half and we was hitting that pass to Cam Vaughn, and that's all I could think was get on it, go faster, like because when you're rolling,
when you're doing good, yeah, but whenever you're getting stuffed up the middle 10 times in a row and going 3 and out 5 times in a row, like gotta change something, man.
That's the juxtaposition, because it was like the first 2 drives of the game were that, and then the first like 2 drives of the second half where we want them to be. So hopefully that means though they're getting closer to be able to get in that rhythm, because I think that is the main issue is it's hurting us because we're not getting first downs. When we get first downs, it helps us. So
and we're getting just right there. I mean, if you look at it, a lot of times when we go for it and we don't get it, I mean, it's 4th and 1, 4th and inches.
Yep.
I mean,
we got to get those short yardage pickups. It's frustrating. But the number to remember is 25 first downs. Rich Rod feels pretty good about getting a victory if he gets to 25 first downs. I think they got to 20 or 21 last game, so getting closer to where they want to be, and we'll keep an eye on that moving forward as well. But any other thoughts here, Stephen? Final thoughts before we wrap this one up? Don't see any other predictions rolling in here in the chat. We'll call it a show here. Appreciate you guys that tuned in live, and appreciate you guys that watch on the playback or listen on the playback as well. But that being said, you got anything here, Steve?
Hope they prove me wrong, man. Come out and play.
Yeah, that's right. Prove us wrong. Go out and win.
Yep.
That's right. And Utah's going to beat Cincinnati as well. That's another one y'all need to keep an eye on, our game of the week, because that's the only one we pick different. So
let's go Bearcats. Let's go Bearcats. Pro Cincinnati
in all seriousness, I hope Cincinnati wins. I wouldn't be mad if I got to eat crow on that pick and Steven's right, because I hope Cincinnati wins. But got to be different. We got to have something to debate on here on the show.
Something, man.
Yeah, we got to debate. I mean, we both picked losses. I mean, we had to have some type of debate. We had almost a perfectly matched up around the Big 12 segment. So that'll be the one we'll debate on this week.
Tough. I want you guys to know that. That's the hardest part about running this daggone shows, because we don't share any of this crap with each other before we record this stuff. So a lot of times we come on here and I'll say something and it's exactly what Cruz was going to say. It's what he's got in his notes. I mean, this is complete randomness too, and it happens a lot.
Oh yeah. There's been multiple times I've had to pull up my notes and just show them on the screen, because Steven literally had like the exact same pick.
And vice versa. It's not just that way. It's on the reverse side.
Yeah, it goes both ways.
I mean, a lot.
Hey, great minds think alike, brother. Great minds think alike.
That is true, my friend. That is for
burden
with the burden with the curse of knowledge. Is that what it is?
Yeah, we are.
That's all.
Big brains, big brains over here. or we both have just the same size, small ones. I don't know. It's one of the two. We'll let you guys be the judge.
I think a lot of times it's the latter.
Yeah, it is.
Saito's got a route.
Yeah, Saito's got it. That's it.
Yep.
Too much brains.
Yep.
I'll take it. But all right, gentlemen, I guess that is it for this week's preview and predictions episode. Like I said, appreciate you guys that tuned in live. Appreciate you guys. Check us out on the playback. Of course, we'll still be up on WVSportsNow.com. Still be up on the audio side as well. Just wanted to come at it a little different this week since we're coming later in the week. I'll bring it to you guys as a live stream here on the YouTube channel as well. And you guys turned out great and dropped in some predictions as well, and we appreciate you guys. As always, for my co-host, Steven.
Do you want to
Yeah, hit it.
Before we go.
Hit it.
Let's go! Let's go!
Hey, beautiful. Couldn't have put it better any better myself, but I'm still going to say it myself because we got to sign off here for my co-host Steven. As always, I'm Jordan Cruz, and until next time, let's go Mountaineers.
If you really want to know, then come on, let's go. Take a stroll down those